I'm not making any money talking these days. Good Christ. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not gonna lie to you. Still am. I guess I am a decent guy because I'm a fucking jerk, and I'm not a jerk. Apparently, I'm a dick. I'm not an awful guy, but I've done so much ridiculous stuff. I'm an awful guy. Hey, what's happening? 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. Mike Schmidt doing this a second time because earlier, you know what I started. And I said, I said, hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast. I don't like to do that. I like to say, hey, what's happening? 40-Year-Old Boy Podcast, Mike Schmidt. I do it in that range. What are you looking around for? Now you're throwing me already. She's literally, I'm not kidding you. I've been sitting here for 95 minutes. I've been sitting here waiting with a headset on to talk because I don't know what the fuck I'm going to talk about today because it's a holiday. I took the week off. So, but now, right when I start, she gets her head in a fucking swivel and starts looking around looking for stuff. That's my good friend Lily Von Stupp, who's producing the show. Lily's here. And by the way, Lily looks great. First of all, because today she's wearing clothes, so I'm excited about that. Because usually I show up and she's wearing like a tank top and a thong. And she's like, hey, are you ready to do this? Because like she's so comfortable being naked and then around friends she doesn't care. But today she's wearing actually like long sleeves and jeans. She looks... and a bra, which I hadn't noticed because I got to be honest, the cannons are always loaded no matter what's going on. But so I was like, all right, well, she's wearing nice clothes today, which made me very happy because I got to admit it's a squirmathon sometimes when I come in here and I'm like, hey, could you put your nipple barbells away while I'm talking? Because I find that just a little off-putting. Just because we're friends, we're pals, and then the whole time I've got that happening. So. And also, I will say that this is something you don't want to hear. When guys, if you're dating somebody or if you're working closely with a woman, you don't want to walk in and hear this. I'm having a manic episode. Because I don't know what that means. Unless you're going to go fuck. Because then you're like, all right, well, good. That means it's 2 hours of working headboard Olympics. But if you have to sit down quietly and do some work of some sort, you don't want to hear, I'm having a very manic episode. So, and also, this is also bad to hear when you walk in. Are you messing with my pills? Are those my pills over there? No. Oh, I thought I heard pills over there. Who hears pills? That's the craziest fucking thing I've ever heard out of anyone's mouth in my life. Hey, are you messing with my pills over there? Thought I heard pills. Who the fuck hears pills? You know who hears pills? Somebody who needs pills to keep from hearing pills. Wow. Oh, I thought I heard pills over there. Jesus Christ, that's scary. All right. Thanksgiving week, folks. Is it Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving? I can't decide. It's like insurance or insurance. I keep coin flipping, both of those. I don't know what to say. But I say, either way, I say happy Thanksgiving to all of you. This is being released on Thanksgiving, so you are no doubt, I'm sure your grandmother's hearing this now for the first time as you drag her into your room. You're like, Grandma, you're not going to listen to this idiot. You know what? You're worried about where I'm going in my life? Check this guy out. He's doing stand-up at wakes and punching guys in the cock. You know, this guy is awesome. This is not who I'm going to be, Grandma. Which is often what I told my grandmother. This is not who I'm going to be, Grandma. And then luckily they died, so they didn't have to stick around and see that is exactly who I became. Yeah, so it's exciting. It's Thanksgiving. I don't know what I'm doing. I was supposed to go to Vegas. I was going to Vegas for like 4 days, but then real life interfered, and I might still go. I don't know. I don't know if I'm going or not. I might go just for the. You gotta go, right? Don't I have to go? I don't know. Lily's clapping because I'm supposed to go with her. It's just me and her going, which is going to be really awkward and strange. That'll be very weird for her husband and Karen. Just like, hey, we're taking this podcast on the road. Gonna do some Vegas recording. I've been to Vegas. I've been to Vegas for Christmas. I've been to Vegas for New Year's. I've been to Vegas for Karen's birthday. I've been to Vegas for my birthday, which I've discussed at length. Yeah, it seems like, but never for Thanksgiving. That doesn't seem like something. Again, it just doesn't seem because it's a lonely. You go to Vegas and it's just vagabond people walking around doing nothing, and it just seems like Thanksgiving. You wouldn't be giving thanks there, as run your rental car aground on a median and you're fucking losing your money at the crap stable. Went up at some strip club, putting $20 bills in some chick's G-string, giving thanks for the fact that she's never going to have sex with you. Uh, yeah, Lily wants to go to a strip club, and I'm just like, yeah, I don't think that's gonna happen, probably, because I don't want to be the guy who has to, when she winds up with like two strippers in a headlock and making out with a third, I'm gonna be like, all right, I gotta break this up because I know your husband, and I don't think he would approve of this message. I don't think he'd be excited to see you involved in a daisy chain on Thanksgiving night with five fake blondes and their 9-inch clear lucite stack heels up around your shoulders. There's nothing worse than having to prevent people from being themselves. Believe me, I'm well aware of that. Very familiar with that. All right. So Thanksgiving is here. It's upon us. And you know what that means? It means Christmas is right around the corner. I don't even know. I don't even know what the fuck that means. This is the problem when you have nothing to talk about. You're hoping to catch. You know what I am? This is all flint. This is me. I've got a bunch of tinder piled up, and I'm flinting now, trying to get a spark and get something going, and it's not fucking happening. It is just wind and rain, and my flame is being fucking doused. Christmas is right around the corner, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know if you know that. I don't know if usually it's Thanksgiving, and then boom, Christmas just shows up. But yep, there it is. My wife loves Christmas. That's her deal. It's like I never hated it. But I like Christmas. I've always liked Christmas, but now I love it because my wife loves it so much and it makes her so happy. My wife is insane. Like my house right now, she decorated for Christmas, so we don't have the tree yet, but we have all the tinsel and the snowman who comes out every year and all the lights up in my house, and then we have a menorah up, and because my wife, she loves the idea of the menorah. She's fascinated by it. And so our neighbors are always like, "Are you Jewish?" No, I'm not Jewish. My wife just enjoys it. She's on their side, you know. I mean, if she could wear a yarmulke, she probably would, because that's what she's just fascinated by it. She got a dreidel, spins that all day. She's very into it. But I think she just likes the idea of there being, holidays and stuff like that. So she's on board with that. But we had, here's a funny story about our first Thanksgiving we ever spent, my wife and I. We had a fight. Like, this is the first year we were dating. And so, of course, we had a fight because that's what we do. We did. We don't fight now. Good Lord, no, because then she might leave and I'd be ruined. So I can't have that happen. So I have to capitulate and do whatever she says at all times. That's who I am. So I'm lucky enough to where she lets me do the things that I want to do. Because if she didn't and she drew a line in the sand, then I would have to do them. And let's not tell her that. And good thing she doesn't listen to the show, because she would know what kind of disproportionate amount of power she has in my life. So we had a fight, and so I went and I had to spend Thanksgiving with my family. I don't mean have to. I liked it, because my cousin owned a bar. So it was like, he owned an Irish bar. So it's like, hey, let's all go over there. And, it's Thanksgiving, so you play football. I'm sure you've all played. I don't know if it's Thursday now when this comes out. So you may have already played in your family's turkey bowl or in your neighborhood's turkey bowl. We did it all the time growing up. You can shrug all you want. Well, you lived in Florida with, in some ridiculous mansion. So who knows? But real people in the Midwest play football on Thanksgiving. And Fat Mike loved playing football because it was like, it was retarded because nobody's as big as Fat Mike. So Fat Mike would get a handoff and blast through the line and crush guys. The worst ever. We were playing when I used to work at a pizza place. We got together and had a big game, and it was like kind of cold and snow, and you wear like 9 layers. God, I miss it. And I miss it to the point where I would want to play football now, and then I would get out there, and after like a half an hour, you would have to call a fucking ambulance. Because it is, especially because I'm 40 and I'm playing tackle football now, mind you. I'm not playing flag football because, again, Fat Mike doesn't want to play flag football because all of his advantage disappears at that point. Because then Mike is just a lumbering fat guy with plastic hanging off his hips. But if it's tackle football, Mike is potential dangerous weapon at all times. Whether he's rushing a quarterback or catching a screen pass or returning a kickoff, Mike is a threat to destroy somebody's life at any time. So I was playing Turkey Bowl one time, and I took a handoff, and this guy Doug planked the shit out of me. He came flying at me and hit me low, which is smart. That's what you're supposed to do, except for the fact that at the time I weighed about 360 pounds, and my legs are churning. So he blasts me in the legs, and he stood me up. It was a nice hit. He hit me right at the goal line. It was like wham. It was like running into a wall. And then he crumbled into a heap, and I proceeded into the end zone. So I scored. And then we had to carry him off. I mean, it was like really bad. I dislocated his shoulder and his elbow because when his shoulder dislocated, he landed on his elbow, which then cracked inwards, and he landed on the ground. So I was like, "Hey, you all right?" And I'm like, "Ha ha, I scored, and I hope you're okay." And we're all friends, and that's fine. So we play for a couple of hours, and then I have to go home for Thanksgiving. And it dawns on me. I'm mixing two stories. Hold on, this happened after Karen and I were living together. So I'll tell you the first Thanksgiving in a minute. But but it all ties into the bar. That's why. I finished playing football, and it's that thing where your adrenaline wears off, and you go to the car, and I'm going to go home, and all of a sudden I start feeling weird, like maybe things are falling apart weird. I don't know what's happening. So I get in the car, and I have to, use my entire hip to slide into the car. And I'm like, this is not good. By the time I get to our apartment, we lived on the second floor. I had to park. I had to crawl out of my car and crawl up the stairs. And I knock on the door, and she opens the door. I'm on my hands and knees. She's like, "What the hell happened to you?" And she's worried, and I'm like, "Don't worry, it's just football. It's no big deal." I have to go in the shower and sit down in the shower and get showered. And the thing is, we had to go. And what it was when the guy hit me, not only he dislocated his shoulder, his elbow, and stuff, but also I landed on my hip when he stood me up, and then I came into the end zone and I landed on my hip. And also he had hit me on my hip, so I had like a hip pointer or something, but whatever. It shot down my leg, and it paralyzed like my right leg. So then I have to go to the bar, and I'm hobbling in, and again it's an Irish bar anyway, so everybody's hobbling around as they would be anyway, as we get ready to eat my aunt's horrible cooking. You know what? My mom is a fantastic cook, and so is my wife. And for some, my aunt for some reason. She was a good cook. My aunt could make, all Thanksgiving dinner, but then she would make, I never liked sweet potatoes because when she would make them, they were horrendous. Like, and she would make mashed potatoes, and they were awful too. Like it was like eating glue, like eating wallpaper paste, her mashed potatoes. Like you were, people are like, "Oh, lumpy potatoes." And then you find out as you get older, lumpy potatoes are great because it's just they're smashed potatoes and there's skin in them and stuff. But she whipped her potatoes so much they had the consistency of toothpaste. You know what I'm talking about? Like that really smooth, like you can almost spread them on bread. Oh my God, they were fucking horrendous, just so bad. And then but then weirdly enough, those were overcooked to the point where it was almost like a potato soup. Like they were so thin and horrible. But then her sweet potatoes, what the hell was that noise?
I have no idea.
It was like a sproing. Did your computer just got a hard on? What the hell was that crazy noise? It got a cartoon hard on. I got to clarify, it's a cartoon hard-on because I don't hear a sproing when I get a hard-on. I got to admit, it's just, in a cartoon I would. That would be great. So then, man, although that would really make things awkward if you were out and that happened to everybody all the time. You're in a restaurant, and it would happen all the time because guys are getting fucking hard-ons all the time. You just bang, 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 bang. You'd hear, that'd be just creepy. In a strip club, it'd be really creepy. Not for you. You'd be thrilled. You'd be like, oh, great, let me find a cock and swing on it like a trapeze. But not even not in a dirty way. All right. So, what am I talking about? Potatoes. So, like, the mashed potatoes were horrendous, but then her sweet potatoes, like, she had overcooked the hell out of the mashed potatoes, but then her sweet potatoes were like eating baseballs with pecans on them. I mean, they were just so hard. Like, a fork wouldn't even sink into them. I don't know why. Those were the only two things she fucked up. Like, for some reason, she had an anti-potato thing in her brain. She was, and again, we're half Irish. How do you fuck that up? I picture my grandma just going, "You can't even make a goddamn potato? What is wrong with you, Margaret?" But then she made but the rest of her food was fantastic. It was great. You had fluff and all that stuff. But so that day with my bad leg, it was so funny. I get to the bar and I literally just parked myself, and I was receiving people. That's how bad. I couldn't even get up and hug anybody goodbye or kiss anyone. I'm just like, yes, thank you. I'm like the Pope. I got to put my hand out and shake her. Yes, can't move. Football. Sorry. So I guess be careful at your Turkey Bowl game is what I'm saying to you folks. But that was so when I first started dating Karen, we were separated on our first Thanksgiving. We had a fight, and I'm at the bar having Christmas with my family, or Thanksgiving. I'm having Christmas on Thanksgiving. We were very ahead of ourselves. we were like like grocery stores. Like the second Thanksgiving ended, it's Christmas, which has changed now to the second Halloween ends. It's Christmas. So I'm at the bar, and it's, we had a fight, and I'm like, well, man, I'm just here at the bar having, you know what? Well, I'll just give her a call because wouldn't it be great to have sex on Thanksgiving? All right, so, because at the time we're still dating, we're not really serious. We're just kind of, it's that thing is happening. So I call her up, and I remember calling her from the payphone at the bar, and it's like, hey, what are you doing? Hey, all right, hey, I'm gonna stop by. So. And at the time, she still lived with her family. She lived with her mom and dad, and they had their Thanksgiving, and her mom held court and yelled at everybody. And so then I show up, and it was so cute. I remember this. She gets in my car, I just parked out front, and she ran out to the car. And Karen's in the car with me, and she brought gum. I couldn't figure out why, but it was because we were still not a couple, so she felt like she needed to chew gum because of the food for Thanksgiving. I don't fucking know. Who knows what the hell the thought process was? But she got in the car, and I'm like, hey, and she's like, hey, gum? No, I don't need any gum, thanks. So she chews gum, and then we're talking, and I'm like, well, it was Thanksgiving was good, and it was that weird part of our relationship. We were becoming serious, but for some reason we were still arm's lengthing it, we weren't sure if we were going to stay serious. But let's put it this way: I wasn't sure if we were going to stay serious. She was, I think, pretty much sold on the fact that we were going to stay serious. I was a guy who was just kind of like, yeah, who knows what's going to happen, because I'm going back to California and whatever. I'm an idiot. So luckily it all turned out for the best. So we're there in the car, and we're way up talking, and one thing leads to another, and then we're making out in the car. And again, we're outside of her parents' house. We're 28, you know what I mean, making out in a car. And one thing leads to another. So I'm like, well, all right, well, you have any interest in taking off all your clothes? And she's just like, I can't, we're outside, my mom's house. I don't, what's going to happen? We're, in the middle of Romeoville. God knows some hillbilly might walk by and peek into the car. So she's like, so we're making out. And then finally it turns out she just is like, well, you know what? Let's just do this. So she goes down on me in the car. And it's like, hey, happy Thanksgiving. Glad I made the phone call from the bar. So it's very exciting. Everything's great. And everything works out very well, and that turns out to go well. I was excited with the way it turned out. I hope she was too. So that gets finished up, and we're talking, and I go to we're kissing goodbye, and she's leaving, and then I go to put my clothes on or get adjusted, and I look at her and I go, "Where's your gum?" She said, huh? I go, your gum. Where's your gum? I said, did you swallow your gum? She goes, no. So a little quick inventory check. I've got gum tied up in an area where you don't usually put your gum. Because I reached down and it's like, all right, there are my balls, and I have a third ball somehow. I don't know how that happened, but it's it's tied up. Yeah, that's not good. And so I look at her and I go, yeah, your gum is stuck. And she's like, okay, I'll go get some scissors. So she has to run into her house and run back out with scissors, and then we have to do fucking origami on my cock to try to get the gum out. So that's the memory of Thanksgiving I'll always have with my wife. The two of us fumbling around in the dark with scissors, cutting gum out of my pubic hair. Yay! Turkey, stuffing, and unfortunate incidents. That's what I'm always going to cherish as I think of Thanksgiving with my wife. I love the fact that she just, because it just happened, and and then there it was, gum, and I knew it because when I went to put stuff away and move it around, I went, oh, is that gum? And it was. And what's funny, like we cut it out and then it's there, and what happens to it at that point? What is the life? What is the life of hair covered gum? Like, does she bring that in the house and then put it in the garbage and then like someone sees it there and is like, I don't have any interest in knowing why that's there. I don't know how it happened. I don't know why someone decided to do that. It would just look terrible. So that's what I carry with me from Thanksgiving is my wife and I in the dark with scissors. This is going to be the lost episode, folks. This is going to be. I may not even air this. I might. It is so bad. Because I literally have nothing. My head is just on fumes, and I didn't do anything last week. So there's nothing that. You know what? I did the Comics on Comics podcast. I did that. That went really well. It hasn't aired because they have a 9-month backlog of video apparently. So all of my incredibly funny and topical humor that was used on that show is going to seem awfully dated when they get around to running it in 2011. And it was a great show. It was a lot of fun. My fears were unfounded as they gave us that. I told you last week they gave me this huge packet of information of stuff that I was supposed to know. But then I show up at the thing, and I meet the other comics. We actually carpooled. It was me and Chris Mancini and Jackie Cation, and they had done the show before. So they told me, they go, you know what, just go and don't even worry about it. Just be funny. You don't have to worry about all that information. Just do what you're going to do. And, they send that to you, but it's more of a way of just preparing you, and they don't stick to it like crazy. So I breathed a little sigh of relief. I said, okay, we get there. We walk into the comic book store where it's held, and I walk in, and there's a guy named, I think his name's Blair. He's the third. There's 3 guys who run the show, Vito and Juan and Blair. And Blair immediately walks up to me and goes, did you get all your packet of information? Were you able to go through it? So, which immediately sends me into a death spiral again, where I'm like, oh man, they just told me it wasn't going to be a big deal. And now I'm studying it. I grab it. I'm actually looking through it. And then it turned out we did the show and I didn't need it. I mean, it was just a freewheeling discussion and it was a lot of fun. And it was Chris Mancini, Jackie Cation, me, Juan, who wound up hosting it, and then Mark Guggenheim. Mark Guggenheim is he's a comic book artist and a writer. He's basically everything that you would want to be, but he's hogged all the jobs for himself. He writes like Young X-Men. He writes Amazing Spider-Man. He created the show Eli Stone. He runs that show on ABC. He's writing the Green Lantern movie. I mean, this guy is a heavy hitter. And again, I'm doing a show where I talk about gum on my cock. So, I mean, how do I sit next to this guy? How does he have any respect or any take anything seriously at this show? But luckily he doesn't know that about me. He just knows I'm an idiot sitting next to him. And we go on and we do the show, and it was fun. And I'm not going to lie to you folks, I did a good job. We all did. Jackie was very funny, and Chris, we were all very funny. I said the funniest thing I've ever said in my life on this show, and I pray to God they don't edit it out. When it airs, and again, I'm building that up. It's not the funniest thing I've ever said. For me, it was. I was proud of it, but I'm not going to say it because you'll have to watch Comics on Comics. You'll have to watch the 4-hour video treatment that they're going to put up in June of 2012 and check that out. But go to comicsoncomics.com, stay tuned to them, and figure out what's happening. And if somehow my joke gets edited out, I will say it on this show. But I don't think it's going to get edited out. Because why would you ever want to cut out any of my brilliance? As I sat there, and I just want to see it back because I was in the moment, so I don't know what was happening. I want to see Guggenheim's face every time I open my mouth, where he's just like, I am writing the Green Lantern movie. Why am I sitting next to this jackass? Because I kept grabbing his leg and going, Googs. And he was funny. He played along with it fine and everything, and I would just go, Googie. Like, it was the stuff that Pat and I do. Pat Francis and Jimmy and I used to do it all the time. Just like, Googs, Googer, like the stupidity. And And what was great is we did the show. It was fantastic. And again, he wrote Green Lantern. He did Eli Stone. He's done all these things. And the next morning, I wake up, get the Hollywood Reporter. Eli Stone canceled. Suck on that, Guggenheim. I guess you've got one less job to worry about. And in my head, I'm just like, well, he's got 6 jobs. He's also writing something called Super Zombies. The guy's a genius. Whatever. He's doing all of those things. And I sat there and just made fun of him for 2 hours. I made fun of everybody and everything, including myself, as we said it. Come on, we were in a bat cave talking about comic books. How do you not fucking just get the shiv out a little bit and start taking everybody out? But it was a lot of fun. So go to comics.comics.com and check that out. Is the yawn still in there? I yawned. I was talking and I wound up yawning, and then I had to stop because I figured, it's bad enough you guys are yawning. You don't need to hear me fucking yawn in the middle of the story. And then I think we cut it out, but I'm not sure if we did. So if you hear a yawn, enjoy it. I don't know, and let me know. Let's do like a social experiment. See if that yawn makes you yawn. You know how like when you say you look at somebody yawning and you can't help it, yawns are contagious, and you wind up yawning. Maybe my yawn makes America yawn, or Sweden, or Finland. Or everywhere else I get letters from. Who did I get? I get a letter from Pakistan this week, and I get a letter from, who else? No, not this week. I didn't get a letter from Pakistan. I got a letter from Finland and Sweden. Why would I mix them up? Why would I mix up Finland, Sweden, and Pakistan? And by the way, if I can go on the record right now, fuck Finland, okay? I don't mean it. I don't mean all of the people in Finland, but I mean pop culture in Finland, and here's why. You know what Karen and I did last? I remember this now. I'll tell you this. And I wasn't gonna talk about it because it doesn't even fucking merit talking about, but I have to because I wasted time and money doing it. I went to the House of Blues and I saw a band called Lordi. Do you know who Lordi is, folks? Lordi is a band from Finland that it just essentially went, you know what? We're a band, and we like Kiss. Let's dress up in monster costumes and play rock and roll. Which I thought sounded like a great idea. I mean, I was never like a green jello / green jelly guy. I was never a guar guy. That stuff looked really kind of over the top and ridiculous. But then I heard about Lordi. And Lordi they're like, we love Kiss. And they won like this best band in Europe thing, like Eurovision, some contest. And I was like, well, maybe there's somebody special. And then I read how much they love Kiss, and they're putting on this, crazy stage show, and that's their deal. And I said, all right, well, look, if Lordi comes to town, we got to see him. So they were at the Ozfest, and I wasn't going to go to Ozfest and sit through that nonsense. I went to Ozfest 2 years ago when it was free. It was funny. Pat and I, they did a deal where all the tickets were free, so Pat Francis and I wound up going to see the Ozfest. And it was essentially me and Pat Francis and the entire city of Palmdale. That's who... I don't know who was making meth that day. I know it wasn't Palmdale because they were all at Ozzy. Here's when we first showed up because we skipped. It's a full day event, Ozfest, but we wanted to just really see Ozzy. And I was interested to kind of see Lamb of God a little bit. I wanted to see what they were like on stage just because, when I've bounced for those shows, it's been horrible. I mean, I wanted to see the destruction of this. And it was also out at this stadium in the middle of nowhere. It's called the Glen Oaks Pavilion, but we always call it the Hills Have Eyes Arena because it's in the middle of the desert, and there's always that potential of danger where, like, if you're driving home and you're like, hey, let's pull off and get gas, and then somebody eats your baby. Like, I mean, it's like that kind of danger is in the air at all times. So, and then when you couple in Ozfest, it's just, you might as well just have a human sacrifice out there, just this pagan ritual of Lamb of God shrieking. But we get there, and the security is stopping people from going onto the lawn unless they have lawn seats. And I'm like, well, who wants to go on the lawn if they don't have lawn seats? They said, well, we've been getting a lot of complaints from people in the seats. And I said, really, what's up? And they said, well, people on the lawn are pissing in water bottles and throwing it into the seats on people. And I just went, of course they are. Why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you go to a concert and piss on human beings? Doesn't that make sense? What the fuck is wrong with you? So we go to it, and we see Ozzy, and his caterwauling continues, and he's just shaking, and it was crazy. So that's a couple of years ago. So then this past year, Lordi was there, but also Lordi was playing during the day. And I go, well, I can't see Lordi during the day. They're like monsters. That would like take. Who wants to see monsters at twilight? Not me. I don't want to see that. No one wants to see monsters before dusk. I got to see monsters in their full-on monster atmosphere. So then it's announced that they're coming to the House of Blues. So I said, I try to get Pat to go, and Pat's like, yeah, I can't do that, dude. I go, come on, man. It's like, a bunch of dudes in monster makeup and blood and explosions and a bunch of shit going on. And Pat's like, I'm out. And I said, all right. So none of my friends want to go. So I look at Karen, because she's the guinea pig. And I go, hey, do you want to go see these guys? And I show her a video on YouTube. And they sing a song called Hard Rock Hallelujah. And it's so bad. And let me get that out in the open here. I think Lordi is terrible. I didn't have any illusions of their music being good. I was going mainly to see like the crazy Alice Cooper stage show. I want to see somebody get crucified. I want to see somebody's head go through a bass drum. I want to see a flaming arrow get shot into the crowd and somebody get hit with a rocks glass. I'm looking for that atmosphere. And by the way, when you're looking for that atmosphere, by all means, bring your wife. Go ahead and stuff her into the middle of this chaos. I don't even want her to go out to the liquor store by herself because I'm afraid something's going to happen to her. Yet I'm going to expose her to the danger of a Lordi crowd. Which I can only assume is terrible because, again, they're playing Ozfest. They're doing all these things. I'm like, all right, this is going to be terrible. So we go, and first of all, I buy tickets ahead of time because I want to beat the rush. Because, again, they had a pre-sale for Lordi. When I saw it was announced, I was excited. And tickets were $15 each. But then you tack on the Ticketmaster charge and the surcharge and the the venue charge. I think I paid $75 ahead to see Lordi. So. But it was at the House of Blues in Hollywood where I used to bounce. And when I first moved here, Karen and I used to love to go to the House of Blues. We loved eating there. We liked their food, believe it or not, even though I know it's chain food garbage. But there was like a sandwich that they had. That's Fat Mike's brain, by the way. I've been here 12 years, and I remember a sandwich that I ate at the House of Blues and how much I liked it. So when I was working at the website, when I first started working for loadmedia.com, which is now long dead, thank God. But when I was working there, I would go every day for lunch and get this sandwich at the House of Blues, which, by the way, will tell you just how rich I was. I was going valet parking to buy a sandwich at the House of Blues. Idiot. This might explain my financial situation these days. So I'd say to Karen, I go, well, we'll go. We'll have dinner. Because here's another thing, too. Lordi is with two other bands. And I barely want to see Lordi. I certainly don't want to see the two opening bands. So I said to Karen, the show starts at 8. We'll get there about 8:30, so that means the first band will be well into playing, and then we'll have dinner. So we'll eat dinner through the second band, and then by the time we're ready to go out and see some Lordi, we'll be our bellies will be full with favorite sandwich. So she's like, I'm all for it. So we're sitting around the house, and I'm like, all right, we got to get there now to see Lordi. So we go to the House of Blues, and we pull up, and we go down to the valet. There's nobody there. I mean, like we get there at about 8. I would say it's about 8:25 we get there. And we pull up to the valet. Normally there's a big line, and there's people waving, and there's, the guys, those guys with the glowing sticks in their hands to tell you where to drive, because God knows you wouldn't be able to find your way without glowing stick guy. So... But there's none of them. We turn into the House of Blues, and we pull down to the valet, and we pull right in. There's like 5 valet guys standing around doing nothing. So I'm like, well, what did I read the tickets right? I mean, is this the right night? And I look at the sign. It says Lordi tonight. So I said, okay, we get out. They valet the car. We go upstairs and eat dinner, and there's 2 people waiting to go in and see the show, like outside, and no music is being played. So I'm like, why is there no music? The show starts at 8, right? Right. We go and eat dinner. Restaurant's a ghost town. Now, I'll tell you this about the House of Blues, too. There's rumors here that they're going to be closing their doors soon because they keep having fights down there, and TMZ's not helping because they're filming them all the time and putting them on the air. And apparently the insurance is getting to be so crazy that the House of Blues is deciding, you know what, we might just shut down the Sunset location and not even deal with it. That's what's floating around out here. No one knows. So when we go into the restaurant, that vibe is prevalent because there's like 8 people watching a Monday Night Football game at the bar, and then there's one party of 5 eating, and then Karen and I. And there's 2 waiters, and it's just this ghost town of nobody. And the guy walks over, he takes our order, and he was a nice man, but again, you could just see, when you go into a place and you know it's on its last legs, when you know it's about to go over, it's very prevalent, especially in a restaurant or a nightclub. You can really get that feel of, who cares? And this place definitely had the vibe of who cares. I ordered favorite sandwich, and the bun was stale, and like the fry. I said burn the fries. You couldn't even snap them. They were like it was like a plate of spaghetti fries. I mean, like it was that bad. The salad was the salad came. You know that lazy salad you get? Don't you hate a lazy salad when you order a salad? And then in the middle of the salad, there's like the core of the head of lettuce, or just this fish-sized piece of yellow lettuce, not even green, and it's just awful. Oh my, it was just terrible. One lonely tomato, just literally, they may have drawn a sad face on it. I mean, that's how pathetic this salad was. Karen ordered fried chicken, and everything was bad. The whole meal was bad. And even Karen and I are looking at each other going, this is like gone downhill bad. It's terrible. And the waiter comes over, and I'm like, wasn't the show supposed to start at 8? He goes, yeah. But now it's like 9. And I said, what happened? And he goes, you know what? Some shows they don't get a lot of people. I go, so are they're waiting for people? He goes, well, I don't know because I'm in the restaurant, but I would assume so, yeah. I mean, they don't even have security out on the porch. Usually there's security all over the place. There's like 5 security guards in the whole place. And he goes, well, he gives us our receipt. We pay for our dinner. We go downstairs. And there's 8 people in the place. 8 people to see Lordi. And again, the show's supposed to start at 8. It's now 9:05. There's 8 people in the bar, in the showroom. And I look at Karen, and I'm like, I can't believe that this is happening. Why? Because I pre-bought the tickets. I was ready to beat the Lordi rush. I bought tickets a month in advance. There's a good chance I could have shown up and they would have said, you want to see Lordi? Step inside, please. Instead, I coughed up this money to see these guys. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening. So we go in, and at the House of Blues, it's a standing room only venue. And but I will tell you, at this place, there's standing room, all right. Not only standing room, though. There's room, period. And but then there's people trickling in because I guess there's people outside smoking or whatever. So finally about 9:20, the first band goes on. No, 9:15. And they're a band called Stolen Babies. And they come on, and they're on tour with Lordi. But at the same time, they come out, and they're wearing makeup, like really heavy white makeup on their faces. And, the one guy's wearing lederhosen, like that kind of, it's the kind of band that has to wear a costume. And not like a Lordi costume because Lordi is, I can't wait to see them because they're going to be crazy and blowing shit up. But Stolen Babies, because Lordi's stage is so ridiculous, Stolen Babies is playing on essentially like a pallet. You know what I mean? They can't move because they have their instruments all in place. And their lead singer, she's like Lena Lovitch, like she's belting out these like like those crazy King Diamond runs. And then she's playing an accordion. Like it's that kind of music. And then the bass player and it's so I looked at Karen and I go, these guys work in a bank. But at night they get their Stolen Babies on, and they, put on their crazy makeup. I picture them in they're all out in the minivan, trading Noxzema back and forth and putting it on their face. Hey, who's got my rouge? Damn it, don't use my rouge. Just the weird costumes. And again, Kiss must have been that way. When Kiss first started out, people had to see them and just be like, who the fuck are these idiots? Because there's a great, if you get the Kissology DVD, and I know if you listen to the show, you already have it. But there's a great clip on there of them playing their first show ever in a club. There's nobody there. And yet, they're playing it as if they are on stage at the Rose Bowl. I mean, they are playing to the back of the room. They're not even playing back to the room. They're playing to the back of the city. They're just crazy jumping around and going off, and there's nobody fucking there. Nobody. It's great. So Stolen Babies takes that same we can do it attitude to the stage. And Stolen Babies has some fans. Like there's people who are singing and know the lyrics to the Stolen Babies songs, which crack me up. I'm like, that's got to be family or friends or somebody. Who the fuck knows Stolen Babies? And then like Stolen Babies makes a political statement, like their bass player goes, this song's for Joe Sixpack and the hockey moms out there. Really? That's how much of a joke Sarah Palin is. Stolen Babies is making fun of her at this point. And they're playing like ghostly instruments, and they're hitting like they have unconventional percussion. You know what I mean? That kind of band. Like they're not just bass, guitar, drums. They're accordion and didgeridoo, And, someone walks out playing the wind chimes from your porch. I mean, it's just that kind of awful. And Karen loves them, by the way. I got to go on record and say, Karen goes, I like these Stolen Babies. And I'm like, oh, come on. You know what I would like better than Stolen Babies? Actual Stolen Babies. If instead of a band called Stolen Babies, they just like a guy in a burglar suit brought out like 5 babies and put them on a bench, that I would be on board with. I would watch an entire show of Stolen Babies crying, wondering where their parents were. Because that would at least have some sort of psychic repercussion. I wouldn't have to sit through an accordion. So Stolen Babies does their thing. They're fine. They finish. They play like 9 songs, and then they all have to go in the back and use their witch hazel to clean their faces. Which, by the way, I think was one of their songs, Witch Hazel to clean their faces. And then I'm sure it was appropriately spooky, and then someone held a flashlight to their face and told a ghost story. So thank you, Stolen Babies. So they do their thing, and Karen and I had to stand. We stood up in the balcony and watched them do their deal. And finally, there's a bunch of empty seats, but they're all reserved. All the seats are reserved. And in my head, I'm like, who are these seats reserved for? And it makes no. So again, along the line of the House of Blues going out of business, I walk up. There's a hostess who runs this one particular area that if you go to there are seats that are reserved for the band and stuff like that. I just yawned again, by the way, and we had to cut it out. I can't stop yawning again. I'm doing that stupid graveyard thing. It's awful. So we go to find a seat, and I actually, like I said, the seats are reserved, and I'm kind of like, well, maybe we should just sit down, or maybe we should. And so I go to the hostess and I go, these seats are reserved. Can we sit down? This is the hostess. Swear to God. I don't care. That literally, because when I worked at the House of Blues, man, it was a Swiss watch, because it was like everybody had a place and everybody had their job, and nobody could sit down. Even if nobody was coming to the show, we wouldn't let you sit down in the seats. And people would bitch at us about it, and we'd go, we agree. It is the stupidest rule we've ever heard. I don't know if it's to prevent anarchy of everybody sitting down. I don't know if the band wants energy, but we can't let you sit down. It's dumb, but that's the way it is. These are reserved just in case friends of the band show up. But this woman just went, I don't care. So Karen and I go and sit down and prepare ourselves for the onslaught of the second band of the night, Lizzie Borden. You know who Lizzie Borden is? You lie. Come on. Lizzie Borden is straight out of the 80s. They are a band, and again, they are also like a crazy, the show starts and they have these, they have their own Lizzie Borden banners that are up. And we're waiting for Lizzie himself to come out, but the band is playing, and they're wearing spooky makeup as well, and they're pointing at one another and holding up devil signs. And in the middle of the first song, Lizzie himself, he comes running out, and he climbs on. They have like these 2 giant boxes in the front, and he stands on those, and he's wearing this weird mask, like a Phantom of the Opera mask, and he's singing through that. And he's doing all those weird metal tricks where he comes out and he just goes, hey, 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 and the whole crowd is start chanting the hey, hey. And by the whole crowd, I mean, 9 people. By this time, I will tell you, I did a head count. After Stolen Babies finished, by the time they were done, there were 37 people in the crowd. Awesome. And that counts Karen and I, and it doesn't count employees. And I wasn't counting the people in the little quote-unquote VIP section. So there was about 18 there. So that's 55 people. But by the time Lizzie Borden gets on stage, and I will tell you this, Lizzie Borden, when we were outside, Karen and I were killing time, waiting for music. And I'm outside sitting there, and a van pulls up, and out spills like 6 used-to-be hot chicks. Like, you know what that means? Like they were, they were still very attractive women, but they're piling out of a van together, and the woman goes, she's the wife of Lizzie Borden's drummer, so we're here, we have passes, and da-da-da. And they had attitude like they were running the show all of a sudden, like, you know what, everybody step aside, this is the wife of Lizzie Borden's drummer. And the valet guys couldn't care less. They're just, they're Hispanics, like, okay, and they give them a ticket. And these women are all doing their, makeup and just looking. Oh wow! It looked like Marie Claire exploded. That's what it looked like when these women got out of the van. I mean, just the outfits, and then and also like they also looked like Spencer's Gifts too. Also, they were shrapnel from Spencer's Gifts because they had like metal bracelets. It was terrible. So so then Lizzie Borden happens, and they're on the floor, and they're watching it, and they know the words, and they're singing the Lizzie Borden songs, and then Lizzie. This was funny. He runs in the back, and there were a couple of like big-time Lizzie Borden fans. He runs in the back, and he sings a song like "Let There Be Blood," I think was the name of the song. and he brings blood on stage, and it's in a cup. He brings like a Dixie cup of blood on stage, and he puts his fingers in it, and he wipes it on his face, and then he starts to wipe it on people in the crowd. Like, he gets his hands really covered in it, and he starts to, like, lay his hands on the crowd, and they're running up to get it. They're running up to get blood put on them. It was horrifying. And the whole time I'm thinking, man, I got to wash my face if Lizzie Borden puts fucking blood on me. And then he comes out with, like, a skull mask, and he's doing this. So then they start playing an instrumental, and a girl walks out from the back, and she's wearing, like, a short skirt and a, an 80s, flash dance top. And she starts dancing on stage, like this weird go-go dancing. And I'm like, all right, she's got to be in the show because the guitar player hasn't tackled her at this point. So she's up there, and she's doing her thing. And all of a sudden, Lizzie comes stalking out with an axe. And he comes walking up behind her, and she's dancing. She doesn't know Lizzie Borden is there because how could she know? I mean, she's only at a Lizzie Borden concert. And then he grabs her, like, around the neck and proceeds to rip her shirt off. And people are like going crazy, and by people I mean now there's 100. I did a head count. There's 104 people. So Lizzie brought in a ton of people. There's 104 people in the crowd, and they're going crazy as he rips her shirt off, and he kills her somehow. Like, I don't know if he ripped her shirt to death. I don't know if she may have died of embarrassment. I would opt for that. She could have died of embarrassment because I know I almost did. And then he kills her, and then he lays her gently on the ground, and then he wields the axe, and he goes to chop her up. And then he pours more blood on the crowd. So Karen looks at me, and she goes, I'm going to go smoke. And I go, I don't blame you. I think I'm going to go smoke. I mean, I don't smoke, but I got to tell you, death by cancer sounds preferable to sitting through any more of Lizzie Borden. So I was all for it. So finally they end, and then the place starts to fill up. And by fill up, I mean 140 people are there. I did a head count. Again, I wish it wasn't true, but I was able to count everybody. And it was also very easy because there were a lot of people in, like, top hats and skull makeup. That didn't hurt. I was able to go, okay, top hat number 1, purple top hat, white top hat. I mean, Lordi brings a very unique crowd. So we're waiting for Lordi. Karen comes in. We're sitting there, and I'm like, all right, well, the good news is this is going to be Lordi, and their stage show is going to be incredible. And we're waiting for Lordi. Finally, like, you start hearing, and the funniest part is they start doing like sound checks. You know when you're at a rock concert and they're just like, check 1, and if you ever know a metal show, the roadie will have to bust out like a what? Like, he has to sing loudly to find out if the microphone's going to take it. It's not unlike what Karen and Lily and I do here. We will I'll put on the microphone before the show and I'll go, what? And she goes, you're hot. And she has to turn it down. So we're there and we're waiting for Lordi. They're doing the sound check, and the guy is doing the sound check is Finnish because they're from Finland. So then he's like 1, 2, like, I don't know. He doesn't sound like the Count from Sesame Street, but he has an accent, which is crazy to me because normally it's just like check 1, 1, but he's got this lilt, so it's like check, like the Swedish Chef is doing the check. I don't know what's happening, but Lordi brought their own roadies, the whole deal. So we're waiting. Finally, like, this spooky music starts, and they turn the lights down, and I'm like, this is all right. Here we go, fucking Lordi, and they open the curtains. And Lordi, is like this crazy drum, like gong gong, gong gong, gong gong. And finally they launch into a song. And again, I don't think their music is good at all. I'll tell you again, I'm here just to see basically I'm here to see what Lizzie Borden did, but on a much grander scale. I want to see, I want to see dogs get murdered. I want to see all sorts of crazy shit happen. I want to see somebody get eaten. So I'm waiting, and I also want to see the crowd go nuts. I thought it'd be a people watching thing. You know what's good for people watching? People. I can tell you that opportunity slipped right by me because unfortunately there was nobody there to fucking watch at Lordi. And so Lordi starts, and the fans go crazy, and they rush the barricade, and the barricade doesn't move at all because there's only 9 of them. And Lordi starts playing their songs, and they come out in their outfits, and they're in their monster costumes. And they're playing, and I'm like, all right, cool. I can't wait for the explosion. I can't wait for a bomb to go off. I can't wait for something to happen. Wouldn't that be great? Lordi comes out. They're playing their music, and they're in they're in their monster suits, okay? And the lead singer of Lordi, by the way, he's wearing boots that have at least a 12-inch lift. Awesome. He's perched on a foot of plastic, and he's also he's kind of fat, so he's got like a pony keg underneath his monster suit. Like, I mean, he looks like he put monster costume on over a barrel. I mean, he's like kind of fat and round. He's a little that guy. But he's got his crazy monster, face on, and then there's the mummy playing guitar, and then there's like a dead bride playing the keyboard. And then there's the guy on bass is a real monster. Like, he's got claws and fangs and the whole nine, and the drummer's creepy. And then they're playing, and they play their song, and they're like, yay! And they finish, and everybody cheers. And then they go, all right, here's another one. And they start playing another song. And I look around, they don't even have a Lordi backdrop. Like, they have, the backdrop is kind of like a picture of a spooky castle with bats, but they don't have any, bombs. There's no fire. Literally, this is just a shitty rock band in monster costumes. That's all they are. At least Kiss recognized when they started out, they're like, you know what, just in case we suck, we need to get a bunch of crazy shit going on so people don't understand that we only know 3 chords and we only sing about fucking. Lordi, the whole time that they're playing, all I can think of is the accent on the singer, because you have to hear it, because anytime somebody from another land tries to sing in English, and then there's the power of the rock and roll is going to the guy. It sounds like a leprechaun is busting out a heavy metal tune. I mean, it's so bad. Go look them up. I'm serious. Go look them up on YouTube and watch the Hard Rock Hallelujah video. Watch that video, and I defy you to not think that their stage show is going to be crazy. Because, in that video, there's a tornado and a bunch of leaves hit a school, and they kill a bunch of cheerleaders, and then they start playing, and there's wind. And I'm like, I got to see these fucking guys live. And it turns out that they're nothing. They're just a bunch of guys with plastic on singing bad rock. It was so fucking terrible. And then, finally, their third song, the guy talks. He's like, how are you tonight? And everybody's like, yay. And he's like, I said, how are you tonight? And everybody's like, yay? I think we mentioned that we were yay earlier, but you are asking a second time? Fantastic. All right, yay. And he's like, I must tell you, I'm having some trouble with my voice tonight. I don't know if this accent works, by the way. I don't know where it's from. My accent, it could be from anywhere, but imagine it's from Finland. And he's like, my trouble with my voice tonight, but it shouldn't be a problem, but maybe I am just going through puberty. He says that to try to be funny in his monster outfit. And I'm like, oh, seriously, you're going to do shtick? I mean, it's bad enough you're wearing the goofy monster outfit and you're singing songs nobody likes that are awful, but now you're going to do a bad joke? Oh, my God, it's awful. So then he's like, all right, here's a song called Hard Rock Hallelujah. And everybody goes crazy. And by everybody, I mean nobody. And but before he plays it, he keeps drinking water. I will tell you this, too, by the way. All of them keep drinking water. The drummer, they walk up and they basically have, you know how you have a hamster and you have the bottle with the drip? The fucking drummer's got that next to his cymbal because he's going to pass out. He's playing drums in 80 pounds of latex. So this guy's ready to fucking die. And the roadies keep coming up and fanning him. And so I'm like, this illusion is completely dead because, I mean, the only thing I'm hoping for now is somebody in Lordi dies because they have a heat stroke underneath their monster costume and then they pass out and then Lizzie Borden comes out with an axe and chops them up. But Lordi continues to play. They do Hard Rock Hallelujah, and they keep chugging water. They're all just chugging water in between songs. Finally, the fourth song, the guy takes the water, the lead singer, and he drinks it, and then he turns around and he spits it all in the air like Triple H does. If you've ever seen wrestling, Triple H do it. It's just like when you tip your head back and he spits all of it in the air, and there's water all over the place, and they start playing their song. And all of Lordi's songs start out the same, gong gong, gong gong, gong gong. And they start playing whatever the next song is, hard rock, Mazel Tov. I don't know what the fuck it is. He spits the water. And again, there's no bombs, no lights, no nothing. And he spits the water, and Karen looks at me and goes, that's it? I go, yeah. She goes, is that really their special effect? Just the guy spitting water? And I go, so far it appears that's going to be the whole show. She goes, do you want to go? I said, yes. And we got up and split. We left 4 songs into Lordi. I sat through Stolen Babies. I sat through Lizzie Borden, but I couldn't. It wasn't even funny as a sociological experiment anymore. Now it was just me ruining the day that I spent money. It was the worst night out I've had in years. This horrible meal. Nobody wants to be in the fucking building. They start the show an hour and a half late. Stolen Babies. A bunch of guys who work at a farmer's market come out with an accordion and makeup on. playing, they're like banging, they have one of those sideways drums that's like a conga drum, but they're playing the side of it so it makes a weird noise. It's like watching Scary Stomp. That's what it was, watching the Stolen Babies. It was like watching Scary Stomp because they're just like, they're playing awkward percussion. They're like, hitting a garbage can lid. It was just terrible. So, and then Lizzie Borden comes out and does his Lizzie Borden. And then Lordi, 4 songs. We gave him 4 songs. That was it. Adios. I don't know if they were waiting to bring the big guns out later, but I certainly wasn't going to fucking stick around and find out. Lordi was terrible. I cannot stress enough, do not go see Lordi if they come to your town. I might as well have gone to Ozfest and seen them during the day because, although I'm sure that they weren't too thrilled about being out in the sunlight underneath 90 pounds of latex. It was hot enough in that club with only 150 people there. Can you imagine them playing on the summer tour outside for Ozfest? I think, I think Lordi might have like 75 members. And they keep shuttling them in and out because they're right when the other guy's about to pass out, he tags his partner and that guy runs in. So backstage at a Lordi show, it just must look like the Groovy Ghoulies. Like there's like 100 dudes in monster latex waiting to get out and play a xylophone. Once somebody's going to pass out, seriously, go tag in the mummy and then he'll come in and he'll play. That's what Lordi is. It's this huge collective of guys dressed as monsters who can sort of shittily play instruments. I cannot stress enough how bad it was. That's what I bring. That's my Thanksgiving. I give thanks that I will never have to sit through Lordi again. And it's funny, my buddy Dennis, I told him to go look him up. I go, dude, I went and saw this band, Lordi. He looks at the video and goes, that's hysterical. I go, yes, if only it was anywhere close to that exciting. And I explained to him how terrible it was. Jesus, it was bad. I wish I would have someone should have just jumped on stage and had a monster fight with Lordi. Like a crazy monster fight. That would have been fun. All right. You guys can write me at mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com, or you can write me at myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy, or you can go to my house and knock on the door. And I'll answer it and I'll say hello, because that's what I like to do when people knock on the door. So write me at MikeSchmidtComedy.com. It's Mike@MikeSchmidtComedy.com. Write me at myspace.com/MikeSchmidtComedy. Again, subscribe on iTunes if you haven't yet already. Leave a review at iTunes if you haven't yet already. Also, don't forget to go to the Never Not Funny Season 1. Go through the store link on my page and buy Never Not Funny Season 1 so I can get some Christmas money. That'd be good. And thanks to all the people who have written me and said that they've listened to it and that they enjoyed it. I'm glad you liked it. And I liked it too. Also, comicsoncomics.com, go visit them periodically and see when that video goes up. I don't know if it's ever going to go up, but Guggenheim might just call up and go, you know what, seriously, fucking pull that entire enterprise. Eli Stone's been canceled. All you did is plug the shit out of it, and now it's ruined, so please don't do it. Also, I said last week that I was going to be doing Jackie Cation's The Dork Forest podcast. Real life intruded, so I was unable to do that. But I will be doing it December 4th is when I'm taping it. And then God knows when she's going to put it up. I don't know what Jackie's schedule is like. But Jackie Cation is very funny and brilliant. Go to JackieCation.com. Visit her. See how she's doing. I'm sure she's well. I just saw her last week. She seemed to be fine. So also, I did Paul Goebel's show. Go ahead and download that if you haven't. I did the Jordan Jesse Go podcast, episode 79, 3 weeks ago, and I'm still plugging it because I have nothing else to plug. So by all means, download that and hear me and Jordan and Jesse and Juanita having a good time. So go ahead and check that out. And and you can also see me on tour with Lordi. So I'm going to be I'm joining the collective, folks. That's it. I'm going to dress up as I think I'm going to be a Frankenstein, and I'll just like wander in. They'll tag me in, and I'll come in and I'll play a tambourine for a while and then run out. Oh man, it was so bad. It was funny. Just literally yesterday, I was cleaning off my desk and I found the ticket, and because I save all my ticket stubs, I have all my ticket stubs, folks. And on it said Lordi, no cameras, and I think it should have said, yeah, no talent. Should have put that right on the ticket so I knew what I was getting into. What a fucking bust. It was so terrible. All right. I was at my house yesterday, and this made me laugh. You know Lou the Racist bartender who lives next door to me? He was leaving for work, Lou the Racist bartender, and he had his bartender suit on, which is it's a white shirt and then a black vest and a black tie. Like you see bartenders wear. Listen, folks, here's what bartenders wear. I don't know if you're aware of there's a suit that bartenders wear. So he's dressed like a bartender, and he leaves to go to work, and he was carrying a briefcase. I laughed out loud. Like, I didn't want to laugh at him, but I'm like, what could you possibly have in there? He opens it up, and there's just, a fifth of vodka and a flaming cross. That's what Lou the Racist bartender carries around in his briefcase. Like, there's literally a cross on it. I'm a dick, folks. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm a decent guy because I am a jerk. And I'm not a jerk. Man, I'm an awful guy. I'm not an awful guy. I am not a good guy. But I don't think I'm a bad person overall. So, and go ahead and by all means judge that. I'm kind of a jagoff. I got no future. What am I talking about? But I am a jagoff. And I'm not a jerk. I'm a nice guy. It's just, I guess I have jerky tendencies. I've done so much ridiculous stuff, and then I wonder afterwards, I'm like, man, how come I don't hang out with anybody? Here's why, because you're a dick. You're finished. 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 You're finished.